rotten job.
Could be worse.
How?
Could be raining.
Well, hello, gents and ladies. Boy, that thing's bright. As you probably saw, I just finished removing all the old insulation and adhesive from the roof, at least as much as this thing can easily get. I'm not going to dig into it and heat up the panel or anything like that. And what doesn't come off easily with this? It's not coming off. Our new insulation will stick to it no problem. As I said earlier, the video where I removed all this, I'm just bringing you along in the order that I put it back together. So I have the stick-on heat and sound barrier, I have wind lace, and I may make the package tray and the kick panel boards on the inside in this video. We'll see how things go. For right now, I just have the tone of the Ace, and just going to wipe this down real quick. Then I think I'll vacuum all the nastiness off the floor. And then we'll start sticking panels on here. Doing this in an enclosed space, I'm going to get happier and more excited as I go on here. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to vacuum this out so I'm not just wallowing in all this crud, and then we will start putting them up. Is there something on my face? Now if it looks like my mascara may be running, just ignore that. Well, I went inside and got cleaned up. Man, I was a mess. Good thing I was wearing that dust mask. Can you believe my bride didn't want to kiss me? If this was an action movie, I could be full of blood and mud and she'd be making out with me, but I don't understand. Okay, so this is what I got. I believe this was even a Summit endorsed or branded product. Just I suppose a butyl rubber stick-on with a foil heat shield. I'm just going to start here where I have a straight edge. Trim it down where I need to, and I don't know if I really even need to follow their old pattern. It shouldn't matter. And there is, across these bows, there is the old left. You know, I'd want to make sure I still had something where the roof panel meets the bow, just to keep vibration from happening there. So then I don't have a fancy fancy metal roller. This is one used for art crafts, you know, to roll out paint or ink on a flat surface and then do some prints or something. It'll work just fine. It'll be slightly annoying, that's for sure. Okay, we're looking more like something out of that NASA place than anything, but we got it on. And it went on great. I just overlapped it where I needed to compensate for the curves. No big deal. It's thin enough. It's easy to work with. I got in the pockets because I pulled out loose old stuff from there too, and worked really well. Now, by my count, what this was, I said it was from Summit, cost just over $100, so you get your free shipping. I ordered the kit that was 12 by 24 roughly, and it was supposed to have 18 pieces in it. By my count, I have 17. I have one left over, so it doesn't matter much, but for some reason I'm coming up one short with what I bought. And if there's anything I don't like about it, you know, something negative to say, I wish they would have shipped it flat like that instead of folding every single piece, and then you get that wrinkled, see that wrinkle in there. But not that it matters. It's going to perform just as well, and you'll never see it. So, okay, the next thing we're going to go through is the windlace. You can see I've got this side already done. That was the last piece of upholstery to come out, so it's the first to go back in. Okay, so this is the channel that goes right by the door hinge on the edge of the kick panel down by your feet. This is what the old stuff looks like. Pretty bad, pretty nasty, and it is seized up inside of here. Looks to me like what they did, they took the welded flange or extra material of the windlace, they doubled it up, and they crimped it with this piping. It's kind of a solid cardboard rod, for lack of a better term. They doubled the material and they pushed that down in there, and maybe they pinched it afterwards, and then that held the windlace in there. It's all rusted, it's all caught in there, seized up, very difficult to get out. So I just remove most of the material I can with a knife blade. Yeah, there's that cord. This one's a little bit better actually than the other side was. Stayed a little bit cleaner. Just trying to see if they sewed that in there. Yeah, they may have. They may have sewed it in there and then just slid it in. Here where there's some water damage, it is very difficult to get out. I used the cutting wheel on my grinder actually to get some of it out. Yeah, I'm going to have to again. Ta-da. Okay, now, like I said, my windlace doesn't have much extra material sticking out like the old stuff does, so that would be very difficult to get that folded over and sew it with a cord on the inside. So I am going to just use an adhesive. Now for my cord I'm using, this is Airline for an air shock, or the plastic line they would use for oil pressure gauge, a newer oil pressure gauge. That seemed to work pretty well. The adhesive I'm using is Goop. Amazing Goop. It's thick, it's rubbery, and it does not, it stays pretty much as thick as it is when it comes out of the tube. And it tends to stay a little more soft and rubbery. On a clean piece of cardboard. I'm going to leave about 2 inches sticking out here. Now I have my stainless trim off the floor down here. Goes right down there. Of course I'll need to tuck this under there. I will trim that to fit in a minute. Right now the first thing I want to do is start my top screw here. That's the hardest to get to. Hopefully the steering wheel's not in your way from seeing this. That one going, and then the bottom one clear down here. Okay, those are started, and now I'll get my 3 big ones here. What am I sitting on? Okay. Three in the center are adjustable. They are slotted, so you want to use your top and bottom one to get the thing set where it's supposed to be, and then tighten the big ones in the middle afterwards. Okay, now you just basically have rivets or nails here, and that'll come into play when I bring the cover for the B pillar. And there we go. Excuse me, the A pillar. I don't know why I said B pillar. So for right now, get a marker. And I need to mark where my holes are here. And that will tell me where I can staple. Okay. What's your problem? There we go. Missed. Okay. I bet you're not seeing any of that, are you? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be allowed near a camera. But there are 5 or 6 slots along this iron piece, and they have a tack strip behind it. And the slots are only about 3/4 of an inch wide, and so I marked where everyone was and ran a staple into it. Otherwise you're just trying to staple into steel, which doesn't work very well. You don't have an air stapler, don't worry about it. Don't want to spend the money? Don't worry about it. Hand stapler works fine. This thing was originally upholstered with tacks and a tack hammer. You can do the same. I'd recommend you get a tack hammer with a magnetic tip on it, so you could do it one-handed, but I mean, these things are terribly handy, and they're probably not that expensive. A cheap one probably even lasts you a really long time. But there are other ways to get around it. Pretty much as I go along, I am just pushing, I'm feeling the edge, the corner of the door opening there, getting my seam, my sewed portion of my windlace right up against it. And that's it. Oop, I think I missed. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. If I need to trim it a little more, I can. That one came out too. Must have been hitting the gap there. Farther over there. There we go. And it's just a piece of scrap material I've had, and just use some good adhesive on there. It makes a very strong bond. It's every bit as strong as sewing it together, and I didn't feel like getting my sewing machine out just for 4 inches of material. But here, this is where the lock plate is for the door, and they curve the tack strip around, so I have to add material there. They had to do the same thing on the original windlace. So we'll let that dry. Get the cell plate back on, and then we are done with this part of it. Now the last little bit that is unaccounted for as of now is the A-pillar piece. Primarily most of this is covered with the garnish molding. There was a little strip of cardboard in here with material matching the headliner. I'm gonna wait and see. Show you over here. I think what they did, they drove door panel cardboard, drove the nails through into the A-pillar, and then probably glued the material over on top of it just to hide the nails, and then they put the garnish molding on, so you saw it was all covered up. So I will probably end up pulling the nails. This one in the center is already missing. But for now, I'm just going to leave it until I get my cardboard piece cut out. So much for that job. Of course, next will come the headliner, and it will cover the vast majority of all of this. And then we have a B-pillar cover and the rear panel that'll cover the edge of all that. And then there's actually another piece with nails or tacks sticking through it that'll end up hiding the seam here anyway. But I think I have one other job that we're going to do together, and then we'll say adios. Now the last thing I can do today is deal with these cardboard pieces. This is just a thick textured cardboard. The kick panels and the rear package tray are brown. Package tray looks like it has vinyl sewn all the way around the edge, and I do have brown vinyl on order. Don't have it yet. We will take care of that later, but I'm just going to cut it out for now. So if you get online, there's a lot of good ideas about recreating some of this stuff, or door panels, what materials to use. Now my door panels, I am going to use an original style thick door panel cardboard. It says it's water resistant. It gets wet, it's going to warp. I understand that. A lot of guys like to use like a thin ABS plastic, or you can find plastics that are textured, may not be exact to this, but then you could get a brown interior paint and do it that way. I was just going for what I could get the closest to match the original. So I went to Bow Tie Bits last time I was in Wichita. They are a company kind of like Jim Carter's or whatever, catering to classic Chevy trucks, and got advanced design headliner set. So we got a dark brown textured cardboard, and I had a gray one here from a previous project, so I made sure that this would work out by size. And I asked the owner where he gets this, or if you can buy this board in bulk, not cut out. And he said, well, they have to order huge rolls of this material, and then they pay to have them die cut, and then they sell the headliner. So basically I would have to somehow track down a huge piece from a mill, and that's not going to happen. So that's why I went this route, and it's going to work out just fine. I don't think it matters too much how I put these. I'm going to have to use most of it anyway. If you're from Kansas, from the Wichita area, you've never heard of Bow Tie Bits, and you have an old Chevy truck you need parts for, they are south side of Kellogg, Let's see, the exit east of Newman University that goes down towards, is that called Edwards exit? K42 maybe? Anyway, they're at the corner of that K42 or whatever that is and Harry Street. But of course you can look them up. They do have catalogs, they have a website you can order parts from. So I imagine they would ship anywhere in the world. I don't think that clip was ever used to begin with. Okay, I'm going to try to get this in here. It is a tight fit because they're made to bulge, I think. And yeah, it can be difficult to get them in. I'm going to try to get this long straight edge in there first. Go like this. Get under that bolt on the dashboard here. And I'll just show you the package tray real briefly. I thought I would actually have too little and I have to make up for it with sewing the vinyl strip on the edges, but I actually have plenty. So if you see here, we've got quite a curve to contend with, and then that edge where the notches for the screw and the pickup headliner, that'll actually all be under garnish molding. And then this needs a radius on it, so that'll all, I mean, there's going to be plenty of room. So that's going to work out just fine. May actually be a good idea to find a similar radius and tape this upside down on it just to break it in, so to speak. Well, there you go. That's going to do it. Thanks for joining me these few hours. Got quite a bit done today. Everything I can do for now, we actually got done. I have all the materials on order. Should be 2 or 3 weeks before stuff starts showing up. Getting a ready-made carpet, ready-made headliner from SMS. Also have all the other materials, the brown vinyl, the soft gray solid material, and I had to scrounge and scrounge, could not find a correct gray stripe material for the seat cushions. Just could not find it, and just ended up looking at website after website, going through all their samples. SMS sent me a lot of samples and a lot of good stuff. If this had been a tan interior, or we wanted to switch it over to tan, I could have found something that was really good, really close to original. But being a Style Master, it was gray. That's what the owner wanted. So I hope what I ordered is pretty close. Anyway, thanks for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. God bless you guys. We will see you on the next one.
We suggest that you like and subscribe now.